Unit 6 is rational exponents and radicals. We will be covering the properties of exponents starting with target 1, which is multiplying powers. Let's review what a power is. A power term would be a to the b power. A is the base and b is the exponent. The exponent tells you how many times the base is a factor. For example, if I had 2 to the third power, 2 is the base and 3 is the exponent. The 3 tells me that 2, my base, is a factor 3 times. So 2 times 2 times 2, which would be 8. Okay, multiplying powers. To multiply powers, the bases must be the same. If the bases are the same, then the base will stay the same, and then you add the exponents. So if I have a to the n power times a to the m power, since the bases are the same, you can write them as one term, which would be a to the m plus n power. So if I had 2 squared times 2 to the third power, because my bases are the same, then I can combine those to one term. The base stays the same, and I will add my exponents. So that would be 2 to the 5th power. Now you could expand that if you wanted to and multiply 2 5 times, and that would be 32. Okay, this works because if I were to take these two expressions and expand them, 2 squared is 2 times 2. 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2. Now if I were to write that as a power, it would be 2 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 to the 5th. You get the same exact answer as you did before. But instead of having to expand every single time, you can simply keep the base the same and add the exponents. Okay, this is example 1. I want you to do this example in your notes. You will give the answer in your lesson check quiz. You can go ahead and pause the lesson and then continue when you're ready. Okay, let's work through these examples. These examples have more than one variable, and they also have some coefficients involved. The first one is x to the 4th y squared times x to the 5th. You'll notice that we have two power terms that have the same base, so we can combine those to one expression. So that would be x to the 4 plus 5. And then y squared, there's only one term with a y, so we're just going to carry that over and keep it the same. So your answer would be x to the 9th y squared. That would be your final answer because there's nothing else you can do to combine. This next example, negative 2x to the 3rd y to the negative 4th times 4x squared y to the 7th. Let's start with the coefficients, negative 2 and 4. You're going to multiply those like you normally would because they do not have exponents other than 1. So you'd have negative 2 times 4, which is negative 8. Now we have an x term here and an x term here. So we're going to combine those to one term, x to the 3rd plus 2. Now we can combine the y factors. So we have y to the negative 4 plus 7. So that would be negative 8 x to the 5th y to the 3rd. So your answer would be negative 8 x to the 5th y to the 3rd. Okay, here is example 2. Do this example in your notes. You will give the answer in your lesson check quiz. Simplify 5x squared y to the 4th times 3x squared y to the 7th. Go ahead and pause, work through that, and write down your answer. Next, we're going to talk about negative exponents. I have a to the negative n is equal to 1 over a to the n. The negative exponent means reciprocal of a to the n power. Remember, reciprocal is when we exchange the numerator and the denominator. So that would give me a 1 in the denominator becomes the numerator. A to the negative n becomes a to the positive n in the denominator. So if I had x to the negative second degree, that's the same as over 1. So I'm going to switch my numerator and denominator. So 1 comes in the top, and then in the bottom I have x to the positive 2. That works the same way if I have a negative exponent in the denominator. 1 over a to the negative n is equal to, if it's negative and the exponent is negative in the denominator, it'll be positive in the numerator. So that would be a to the n power over 1, which is simply a to the n. Okay, here we have 3x squared, y to the fifth, times negative 3x to the negative fifth, y to the third. Let's go ahead and multiply our coefficients together. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. X squared times x to the negative fifth will be x to the 2 plus negative 5. Y to the fifth times y to the third will be y to the 5 plus 3. So that will be negative 9 x to the negative 3 y to the 8th. Now this is all over 1. I do have a negative exponent, x to the negative 3, so we need to simplify that and make it positive. So I know I'm going to have a fraction. Negative 9 does not have a negative exponent, so it's going to stay in the numerator. X to the negative 3 will be positive in the denominator, and y to the 8th is positive, so it will stay in the numerator. Okay, the last thing is example 3. Again, do this in your notes. It's 2x squared